I'm Allie.
And I'm Sydney.
And welcome to our channel,
Greek Myths Undone.
Today's video subject is Zeus's offspring, both divine and mortal.
Hope you enjoy. Starting with Hephaestus. When Hephaestus was born, he came out not super aesthetically pleasing. He was very ugly. And so Hera decided to throw him off of Mount Olympus. This eventually caused Hephaestus to have some not super happy feelings towards his mom. So once he was a bit older, he decided to make a trap for Hera. He created a golden chair / throne and gave it to Hera as a supposed gift. And when Hera sat down on the chair throne thing, these wires showed up and trapped her into the chair. And the only way that she could get out was if Hephaestus let her go. And his deal to let her go was that he needed to be given the most beautiful goddess as his wife, which happened to be the goddess of love and beauty, Aphrodite. Ares, he was known as the Greek god of war. But as known by some people, he was actually kind of a coward. In the Iliad, there were 3 major godly forces playing a part in the physical battle. Ares and Aphrodite on one side and Athena on the other. Ares led the Trojans into war, but during the battle, Athena teamed up with a human soldier, Diomedes, to throw a spear at Ares, and it hit him. Ares got worried that he had gotten injured and proceeded to flee the battle, leaving the Trojans on their own, and any of his later involvement in the war was done from the sidelines instead of in the physical battle itself. He's also well known for sleeping with Aphrodite, as stated when we were talking about Hephaestus.
Next we have Hebe. So Hebe is known as the goddess of eternal youth, prime of life, and forgiveness. She's also the cupbearer for the gods. The other thing she's known for is the fact that she was married to Heracles after he gained god status.
Oh, and for those who don't know, being a cupbearer for the gods means that she would walk around and serve them ambrosia and nectar, which was the food and drink of the gods.
Next, after that, we have Eleuthia, who is the goddess of childbirth and midwifery.
Moving on to Zeus's relationship with Demeter, they only had one child known as Persephone. I'm sure a lot of you already know the myth of Persephone and Hades, but a brief recap is that Persephone, depending on myths, there's a bunch of different variations, but she eventually finds her way down to the underworld. She becomes Hades' wife and queen of the underworld, and will spend 6 months down in the underworld and 6 months up on the surface world and Mount Olympus with her mother.
So next we have Apollo and Artemis, the twins of Zeus and Leto. Along with Apollo, there are 2 famous myths of his lovers, Hyacinth and Daphne. So the story of Apollo and Hyacinth is that Hyacinth was a young male who was very attractive, and many divine and mortal creatures were in love with him. And one of those was Zephyr, the west wind, who was jealous that Apollo was with Hyacinth. And so one day, while Apollo and Hyacinth were playing with a discus, Zephyr decided to use his wind powers to cause the discus to fly from Apollo's hand straight into Hyacinth, resulting in Hyacinth's death. Apollo, thinking it was his fault, was very upset, understandably, and after many failed attempts to heal Hyacinth, Hyacinth was ultimately turned into the hyacinth flower by Apollo, which is where the flower hyacinth originates from.
The story of the birth of the twins, Artemis and Apollo, is a fairly interesting one. When Artemis was born, she was born nice and calmly, and she turned around almost immediately and helped with the birth of her brother Apollo.
When Apollo was born, he came out singing and dancing.
So Artemis was the other twin, and she is known as the goddess of the hunt and the goddess of the moon. When she was younger, she went to her dad Zeus and was like, hey, so I really want these things. I want a nice set of a silver bow and silver arrows. I want some super cool hunting dogs. And I want to be a maiden and a virgin forever. Like, don't marry me off to anyone. Don't let anyone, do anything to me. I don't want that. And Zeus was like, sure. Have everything you just asked for. And Artemis was like, cool, thanks, Dad. Moving on to Zeus and Metis. Zeus and Metis had one daughter, Athena, And Athena was born from inside of Zeus's head. And so Zeus was having a really bad headache. And he called in Hephaestus and was like, something's going on. Crack my head open. See what's going on. And Hephaestus was like, alright, man. So he took a hammer and he hit Zeus's head. And out pops Athena, fully grown in full battle armor. And Athena is known as the goddess of wisdom, battle strategies, crafts. She's really famous for her weaving, if you know the Arachne story. She's also the famous patron goddess of the city Athens, and she had a competition with Poseidon, god of the sea, and she created the olive tree, and that won the competition in her favor, which led to Athens being named after her.
The last of Zeus's divine lovers was Mnemosyne. With Mnemosyne, he had the 9 muses. The 9 muses were Euterpe, the muse of music, song, and lyric poetry; Clio, the muse of history; Erato, the muse of love poetry; Melpomene, the muse of tragedy; Calliope, the muse of epic poetry; Polyhymnia, the muse of hymns; Terpsichore, the muse of dance; Thalia, the muse of comedy; and Urania, the muse of astronomy.